Good morning, third graders. I just wanted to take some time to go over the assignment from yesterday on dividing regions into equal parts. That was on page 222 and 223 of your math hardback books. So, real quickly, let's take a look. I started you off on this assignment yesterday, so we're going to leave off with start off where we left off yesterday. So yesterday we started learning how to identify if a figure or a whole object is broken up into equal pieces or partitioned. That was a new word for us yesterday. Partition means to break apart into equal parts. So when we partition something or we break something up, we want to see if it's broken up equally into equal amounts or equal parts. So starting with number 8, you will notice that we have a circle here. This is number 8, and it has 5 pieces. So this tells us that our denominator, which is the number that is on the bottom of our fraction, that tells us that we have broken that whole into fifths. So remember up here, we can always look and see what we call those equal parts when we break them up into a certain amount or number. So we know that that circle is broken up into fifths, and yes, they are equal parts. Oops, not number 1, we're on number 8. So we are going to say, yes, these are in equal parts. And if we were to label each one of those parts, we would label each one of those as 1/5, a 1/5 part. Okay? So, don't normally write in my book, but if I were to go in, I could say this piece is 1/5, this is 1/5, this piece is 1/5, this piece is also 1/5, and that piece is also 1/5. And as we take pieces away, we'll start talking about what that means when we change the numerator. But for right now, we know that each one of these is one of the 5 pieces. One of the 5 pieces, or 1/5. So now let's take a look at number 9. And you need to be looking in your book as well as we go over this and checking it. So if you did that correctly, you can put a star or happy face next to number 8. If not, go ahead and fix it so that you are understanding what we're doing. Number 9 is a square, and it is not broken up into equal parts. So we are going to say that these are unequal parts. There's 4 parts, but they are not equal in size. And the reason we know that is because this is on grid paper. And these are equal size because we know that there's 4 squares in each of these. But this section right here only has 2, and this section has 6 square units. So these are not partitioned equally. They're unequal. So let's take a look at number 10 real quickly. Number 10 is a parallelogram. Everybody remember parallelogram? A parallelogram is a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel sides, which means the top and the bottom are parallel. That means they're the same distance apart and they go the same direction. And the left and the right sides are also parallel. So this is called a parallelogram. And so we're going to say that these are equal parts. So equal parts, and each one of those parts would be labeled or named 1/4 or a quarter. I'm going to just put that to the side here because if you remember, a quarter is one of 4 equal parts. So $0.25 is one of the 4 parts. A quarter of the clock is 15 minutes of the clock. So remember, we kind of already have discussed what the word quarter means. It means 4 equal parts, quarter. Let's look at number 11. Number 11 we're going to see number 11 is a rectangle, and it is broken up into equal parts also. And those equal parts are called thirds. And so when we would label each one of those pieces or parts, we would label each one with 1/3. So let's take a look at that real quick. If you notice here, here's the rectangle. We could label each one of those as a 1/3 piece. So each one of these is one of the 3 pieces. Well, Miss Anmia, why don't we just put ones in there? Well, remember, fractions have 2 parts to them. The numerator tells us how many pieces we counted. The 3 tells us how many parts are in the whole. So we'll be discussing that more, but for right now, we can discuss why we're labeling them as unit fractions. We'll talk a little bit more about unit fractions later. Unit fractions are one part of those whole figures. So let's take a look at number 12. Number 12 says to use grid paper. Now, we don't have grid paper. However, I can still use the lines on my paper, the blue lines on my paper, to help me get a good idea of how to draw an equal figure. So let's start with, I'm just going to say a square. And I know that I can break up a square into 4 equal parts by going down the middle, from left to right, and down the middle from left to right, or down top to bottom. And then I would label each one of these with a 1/4 part. So this piece right here is one of the 4 pieces. Remember, our square was cut up into 4 equal parts, and each one of these is one of those equal parts. So the denominator tells us how many parts are in the whole when we break it apart or partition it. I could also do a circle, and remember, we cannot break a circle, or we cannot partition a circle drawing lines down the center of it. Remember, we have to go through the center point. There's a center point. Now, each one of those would be considered 1/4 of my circle, one of the 4 pieces. So we label it or name each one of those pieces by its fraction. Now, I'm just going to show you the incorrect way to partition our circle into 4ths. So let's say, for example, if I did this and I went across, remember, you have to go through your center point. This would actually be 6 pieces. But again, the idea is we're trying to make sure that we have 4 equal parts. So make sure that those parts are equal when you break up your circle. Another example could be, and let's go ahead and talk about actual 4ths per se. If we were to do this, go down here, and then here. Again, these pieces are not equal in size, same size, not equal. So this is not the correct way to partition a circle into 4ths. All right, let's take a look at number 13. It says to partition into halves. So again, I can use my circle, my understanding of circle, and I can go down the middle from top to bottom, or I can go down the middle from left to right, or any diagonal for that matter. So I'm just trying to make it easier for myself using the lines here. The blue lines are helping me keep it in the middle. So this would be 1/2, and that would be 1/2. I could use a triangle. Remember, you would not go across this way. because this area and this area are not the same. However, I can go down the middle from top to bottom because I have one of the two pieces here and one of my two pieces here, and these are equal area. You can actually use a rectangle or also a square if you want, but for right now I'm just giving you two examples. Number 14 is tenths, and I'm going to use a rectangle because it's easier for me to break something up into 5 parts and then break it up down the middle here. So it's almost like grid paper. So I can count by twos. I have 2 pieces, 4 pieces, 6 pieces, 8 pieces, and finally 10 pieces. So now I can just close that up. Are they equal? Yes, they're fairly equal. So now we can go through and label, and please be sure to go back and label each of these pieces with a tenth. Or whatever you've drawn, you need to go back and label or name each one of these pieces by its fraction. So don't leave the labeling of the fractions out. Make sure that you have that also. Okay, let's look at number 15. 15 is eighths, and you will notice eighths. If I were to cut something up into 4 equal pieces, then if I cut those in half and I cut the fourths into 2 more pieces, then I can get eighths. So I'm going to demonstrate for you here using a square. So I'm going to use a square to demonstrate for you how I can use my fourths to break them up into eighths. So remember, you cut it in half, and then you cut the half in half again to make fourths. Now, once I have those fourths, now I can cut those fourths in half once more, and now I have 8 equal pieces, or eighths. So I'm going to label these as 1/8 for each part. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. So each one of those pieces is an eighth. Now let's take a look at number 16. We're using the flags in our book to help us understand partitioning of whole amounts. Each one of these rectangular figures is representing a flag of a country. So this is Mauritius, Nigeria, Poland, and Seychelles. Seychelles, I believe it is. Let's take a look at number 16. It says the flag of this nation or country has more than 3 parts. So more than 3 would be 4, 5, 6, 7, anything that's more than 3 parts. The parts are equal, so that means they're the same size, and we're asked which nation's flag is this. So if we take a look at Mauritius, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So that is more than 3. Nigeria has 1, 2, 3 parts. So that's not more than 3. It's only 3. And Poland has 1, 2. Again, not more than 3. And Seychelles is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, are these parts equal? Are they the same size? No, we have many different sizes of, looks like triangles, except for this center one here. There are many different sizes of triangles in that flag. So if we were going to answer this question with the clues that are given, we would say Mauritius would have to be the flag that they are describing here. Mauritius. Now, number 17, it says the flag of Nigeria is made up of equal parts. What is the name of the flag, of the parts of the flag? So what fraction would we place in each one of these parts? Well, each one of these, it's, excuse me, the flag is broken up into 3 equal parts. 2 of them are green and 1 of them is white, but there's still 3 parts to the flag. So they're asking us what would be the name of each one of those parts. And the name of each one of those parts would be 1/3. We would label each one of those parts as one of the 3 pieces. So we could also write it out in words, 1/3. Number 18, which flag does not have equal pieces? So we can see right here that Seychelles has 5 pieces, but again, they're not equal. So we cannot write a fraction with this flag. We cannot write a fraction using the parts. So we are going to say Seychelles. And number 19 is asking us which shape does not, notice the big bold words or letters not, which shape does not have equal parts. So again, if we look at our book, and they've done a nice job of giving us some grid paper to show us that these are not equal parts right here. So this square is not, or does not have equal parts. And please put the word square next to your answer, square. So this square, if the line was right here, these would all be equal parts. However, they are not, as you can see. So that's your check for today on your math, which was page 222 and 223. Please make sure that make any corrections if you need to. Have a great day, guys, and see you on Thursday.